Good evening.
Good evening. Hello.
Hi.
Hey,
Good evening, Mr. Gray.
good evening, sir. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Hanging in there, man. I'm hanging in there. I just had to put my dog down the Monday before Easter. So I've been down in the dumps. But it's through the grace of God that brings us this inspiration to move on. All we do is ask for purpose and steps, and you don't get it in your mailbox, but you get them. So uh, I went to the French Quarter Festival yesterday, and that was the best thing I could have done for my current situation. And I'm a different man today.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. That's where Anitra's at now. She's at the French Quarter Fest, man. Having a good time.
Yeah, I got away from stuff like that, and I'm too focused on. I don't know if I'm too focused. I'm very well focused on the things that I do in my community. So, but not in the last couple of years since I lost my wife, and so now that I lost a dog, uh, I never, attended things like that. But now I realize that I need to get that balance, go and enjoy myself sometime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get a lot of fulfillment having these calls, you know,
Yeah.
giving back,
Yes.
giving back, man. It really does
Yes.
add value to your life.
I believe I've been doing nothing but listening and I'm saying, wow, we're doing something very similar. We're moving parallel to each other because I actually go in the classroom and there's 20 young men, 10 years old, fifth graders that I speak to. And I spoke to them this Wednesday. And it's once a month. And they graduate on May the 13th. And then I'll wait till next year and we'll start a new class with new fifth graders. But we do something very similar, if not exact. We teach them to identify bullying and stay away from it, uh, peer pressure and avoid it, and treating others with dignity and respect. Um, and we pray that they could make it to adulthood if they do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those kids, they are our future, man. We have to
Well,
pour into them.
I do what I do because I don't like what I see on the news.
Yeah,
And so uh, I made it my part of my purpose to to give my, I guess you could say, my 2 cents worth um, to my community, to society. Um, and we need more people to have groups like this group here, and what I'm doing with the youngsters, because um, we don't want to continue to say that that's a lost generation. What we want to say is that we're so glad that they're here.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. So I see we have some new people on the call. I just wanted to let you guys know that we normally allow 5 minute grace period for
okay,
people to come on. We allow a little time. Sometimes people have technical issues and stuff like that, and we normally allow
right,
time for that. So
okay.
just wanted to let you guys know that, since you're new to the call. But I thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to have a good call on tonight, as always. A very informative call, something that we can all hold on to. And this is the place to be. We are striving every day to advance and push our community forward. And you guys
Hmm.
being on the call are assisting us with that by being here. It's very important the work that we're doing, and the more hands, the merrier. Because man, these kids, they really need us. They really do. You have some kids who they don't have the necessary tools, they don't have the necessary information in order to help them move forward in life, well, we're providing those tools, we're providing that information. So no one will be with an excuse. You won't have an excuse on why you're not doing well, because we're going to give you everything that you need. We're going to share our own experiences with you, and we're going to give you all that we have to help you continue moving forward in life. So you guys are in the right place. You're in the right place. The young lady who came on, do you mind sharing your name? Or I've seen you before. I think I've seen you at Ori's basketball game. You mind?
Hi. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Yeah, you see me at Oris, John L. Oris something. But my name is Chaniva Harris, which Chaniva's hard to remember, so everybody just calls me Miss Harris. I'm the PTO president at John L. Ori, which is where I spend the majority of my time, but I also spend a lot of time at Lake Pontchartrain. So I have one daughter at Lake Pontchartrain and one daughter at Ori. My daughter at Lake Pontchartrain is in the 8th grade, so she's graduating. But she has special needs. She has autism. She's high functioning, but she's still autistic. So that's why we chose to send her to Lake Pontchartrain. So definitely very involved in both schools as much as I can be, which is how I know Mr. Porter, because Mrs. Porter, his wife, is over the dance team. So I also assist with that. And then we're also a part of the St. John Parish PTO. No, PTA. So we're on the PTA for St. John Parish, and then I'm on the PTO at John L. Ori. In addition to that, I have a nonprofit called Interview and Etiquette. So I teach how to do interviews, resumes, applications, etc. With school students, with people who just came home from jail and haven't had a job in a while, battered women's shelter, etc. So that is how I try to stay involved with the community and how I try to give back. So when I was told y'all were having a call, I'm like, yep, I'll do it. I'm here for it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that. Sound like you are very involved too with a lot of different things. That's awesome, man. We can certainly use your talent and your passion and your gifts to help us to continue to move forward with touching the lives of our youth, because that's what we are heavily geared toward with the Impact 365. Is we are heavily geared toward helping our youth. I'm sure you see just as well as many others see that our youth are going in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
and someone has to do something about it. Well, we decided to do something about it, not just get online and share our thoughts, but to actually put action to our words. So what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to share a few things tonight. We're going to go over the presentation tonight, as I said on last week, because we haven't went over the presentation in a while, but we will do it tonight because especially for the new people who come on the call, we have to let you guys know that we have a plan for the success of our youth. We're not winging it. We're not flying by the seat of our pants. We actually have a plan for the success of our youth. And it's good for you guys to hear that. So we're going to go over that tonight. So right now we are after 7 minutes after the hour. Like I said, I only allow 5 minutes, but we went a little over having small talk. But let's go over the announcements real quick. Also, too, for the new people on the call, we go over announcements first because we like to talk about the things that we have going on and the things that we have coming up with the organization. Because as I stated, we're always on the move with the organization. We're not stale. We are on the move and we're on fire. We lighten it up, and we plan to keep it that way. So before we get into deep with the call, we always start off with announcements. So that's what we're going to do on tonight. Okay. So the Black History Scholarship Award, I talked about that last week. I finally got an email that the checks have been shipped so that you guys can get compensated. Those that were that won the contest, first, second, and third place. For the new people on the call, we had a Black History contest where our kids, they presented an essay, and also they presented, they did an essay and they also presented, should I say. And we had first, second, and third place. So the kids who won first, second, and third place for middle school and high school, they are compensated. We had $1,000 scholarship that we gave out, and they're going to be awarded that money. We didn't have checks at the time, but I ordered the checks, and the checks should be in real soon because I received an email on yesterday that the checks have been shipped. So it should be here real soon. If not tomorrow, maybe Monday we should have it, and I'll be able to compensate you guys for participating and winning your presentation, your Black History presentation. Okay. We also talked about last week moving forward to the GroupMe app. You know, we had a text thread, but we're moving on from the text thread, and we're going to move to the GroupMe app. The GroupMe app have more features and stuff like that. You know, you can do polling and stuff like that. And I don't know all of the benefits of being on the GroupMe app, but I know it has a lot more benefits. So we're going to move over to the GroupMe app. Many of you have already moved over to the app, but for those of you that haven't, please move over to the GroupMe app and look us up. Our name is Impact 365. And once you move over, you know, we can approve you to be a part of the group. Okay, because pretty soon we're gonna move on from the text thread, and all of the communication will be strictly on the GroupMe app. Okay. Do anybody have any questions or comments about that? Anybody have any issues with moving over to the GroupMe app? Everybody good? How about you, Mr. Gregory? You good? You can move over to the GroupMe app? Okay. Okay. I got you. I see you trying to come off mute. I see you. Okay. All right. So I want some feedback on this right here, man, from anybody. Last week we talked about power, money, and sex. Okay. That's what we talked about. We went over the autobiography of Deion Sanders, and I would love to hear what you guys thought about that conversation. You know, I know you weren't on the call, Mr. Greg, but man, that was a real good call we had this past Saturday. Do anybody want to chime in to say what they learned, what they thought about the conversation around power, money, and sex?
I can go.
Okay.
My name Tisha. I know we have somebody new. So I think that it was a good conversation, and to support that is how people actually rely on you because of your money or your reputation. Like how the guy lied on Dion to in order to get some money out of him. And that's just how a lot of people is like money is definitely power. So it don't I'll even watch something else like outside of that. Soldier Boy, and they were saying, Soldier Boy, why you didn't hit some person, like somebody hit him or whatever? And he was like, man, I'm not about to pay no $100,000. Like you really have to think about certain things before you do it, like when you have money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. The more famous you become and the more money you have, people are trying to extort you. You know, they're trying to see whatever they can do. They do whatever they can do to try to get something from you. And that's what Deion Sanders experienced, you know. So, excuse me, for the kids on the call, as you guys continue to grow and as you guys, you know, some of you are athletes, you know, as you become famous on the court, well known, people see you all the time, man, people will try to extort you for your money. And that's the reason why no matter how high you get in life, you have to be responsible and you have to be accountable, and you will be held accountable for your actions, you know, because when you are a peon in this world, well, things don't really matter. But as you begin to grow and progress in life, man, you got to be very, very responsible with your actions and with your words. You can't do no anything because it can wind up costing you. You know, I'll give you a perfect example, even with the organization Impact 365. I'm very mindful and I'm very cautious of what I say. I'm very cautious of what I do, not just in the real world, but even on social media. You know, sometimes people just treat social media like it's a toy, but it's not a toy. It's how people will develop an image of you. They will develop a perception of you based on what you post on social media. So you got to be real responsible and you have to be real accountable, you know, for the things that you do and what you say. You know, I can't be, you know, saying I'm a founder of an organization and, you know, yeah, we're trying to touch the lives of our youth and help our youth. And they look at me and they see that I'm acting ignorant, I'm acting crazy. No, man, I gotta make sure that I do my best to keep myself in line, keep myself in check. And a lot of times and in a lot of ways, we have to be so self-motivated in order to do that. Because nobody ain't gonna be standing by your side every time, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey man, look, behave. No, you gotta know how to behave. And that starts with you growing as an individual. And for that reason, I read a lot. You know, for that reason, you know, I'm always striving to grow and to become better because I don't want goodness to be on me. I want goodness to be in me, right? Because what's in you is going to come out. What's on you, man, that no matter, depending on which way the wind goes, how you're going to go. But if it's in you, it's easier for you to operate, you know, with goodness because, you know, it's you, it's who you are, it's your character, right? So I try to have a good character. I try to make sure I'm continually to grow spiritually, continue to grow as an individual, you know, be a good husband, be a good father, and be a good person. And that way I cannot be easily derailed by something somebody say, right? Somebody got their hands up. I would love to hear from you.
That's me, Miss Harris. I forgot when I did my intro, I didn't mention that I work for Whole Foods Market and Amazon, and I've worked there for the last 27 years. Adding on to the piece where you said about social media, when we do interviews or when we review anything, after the interview is over, before we move to the next step, we absolutely look at every applicant's social media because that's the real version of you. You could put on a mask in an interview for 30 to 45 minutes, but what you put on social media is what you are on a daily basis. So it's super important that what you put on social media, you have to know that that's a reflection of you, and the internet never dies. So it's always going to be somewhere. So that's really important what goes on there because that's where we start. So before we make our decision, we're going to look and see what you post, who you tagged, like what your character is in real life outside of, like I said, the 30 to 45 minutes that you're in front of us.
Wow. Wow. There you have it. There you have it. She has firsthand experience and she's telling you guys firsthand that your social media is important. People look at that. So let me ask this question here, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name. I'm horrible with names. Do y'all use a special software or anything to do that, or do you just type in the person name and go from there?
When we're looking for social media?
Yeah.
No, we type in their name. And a lot of times they don't have email addresses. And they'll use their Facebook as their email, or they'll use like one of the social media platforms that comes connected with an email. And that's also a downfall, which is why I started the interviewing etiquette, because again, you don't know what you don't know. So they don't know the difference in between having an email and having a professional email. So a lot of things that they get declined and they don't know why. Because I think 97% of companies now use AI. So before you're even making it to a human, you're getting denied because of what you put on your application. So it's not a software. We usually use with the email addresses that you gave us, and then search it that way by just typing in the name and seeing what pops up, and like how long ago that was, or like what exactly was said. And it's very telling. I'll tell you that much.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. You know, your social media, it can tell on you. So you got to make sure that we're being responsible even with our social media, you know. Even with likes, you know, sometimes you got to even be careful with likes, man. I didn't know this, but I learned, you know, years ago that if there's a post, an interesting post, people would look to see who all liked it. You know, I didn't think people go that deep into it, man, but people really do go that deep into it. You know, I done heard situations where guys then got into it with their girlfriend or their fiance or with their wife behind something that they liked. You know, because the lady would be like, "Well, why did you like her picture?" I'm like, "Man, I didn't think stuff like that go on." You know, because me and my wife, we don't live in that world, but so that was a shock to me. But apparently, it goes on. You know, if you have a nice young lady, she's dressed nice, she's looking nice, she's dressed up for the day, and you done liked her picture, loved her picture, put the heart on it or whatever, and she strolls and see that you put a heart on, and now all of a sudden you and your wife argue. Man, it's crazy, but that's the type of stuff that goes on. So we certainly have to be mindful of our actions. You know, we can't get too loose with it. We have to be mindful and we have to be responsible. And that's what we're teaching our youth on these calls. We're teaching them how to be responsible. You know, for those of you who are unaware, you know, we've had calls on social media, and that's exactly what we talked about on that call. We talked about being responsible with social media, because social media can be something that can help you tremendously, but it also can be something that can hurt you depending on how you use it. Okay. All right. So look, I want to watch a short video. We're going to watch a short video here, and I think it's a real good video, especially for adults and for kids, because we are in a time right now that was foreign to me when I was coming up as a kid. You know, when I came up as a kid, and I'm sure a lot of the adults on the call can identify with this, you know, anybody can correct you. You know, it didn't matter who it was. If there was an adult, they can correct you. They can put you in line. They can tell you, hey, look, you need to stop. You need to go sit down, or hey, look, you need to be quiet. That meant something back then. And it seems like we've lost our way with that. You know, now kids, they feel like if you ain't my mother, if you ain't my father, you can't tell me anything. And I think that is the reason why we're going down in our society, because these kids don't respect authority the way that they should. You know, if if MJ, which is Mario's son, is doing something he's not supposed to be doing, he's somewhere he's not supposed to be, and I'm aware of that. Mario's not aware of that because Mario's somewhere doing something, maybe having a conversation with someone or something like that. But I see his son, and I see his son doing something that's out the way, and I know that the type of parents he has, so I know Mario wouldn't approve of that. Well, if I tell MJ, hey MJ, man, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't go over there. MJ, look, this is what you need to do. I don't want to see you doing that, man. Look, go over here because you know you're not supposed to be over there. If MJ go and tell Mario and Mario come and cuss me out, I'm done with Mario. I'm just telling you, I'm done with Mario, because man, I'm not trying to hurt your child. I am trying to keep your child out of trouble. I saw him doing something that he can possibly get suspended for, and I told him not to do it to keep him from getting suspended, because if he get caught, he's going to get suspended. He go tell his daddy and Mario come and cuss me out. Man, I'm done with Mario, because man, look, I'm trying to help you. I was trying to help your kid. And that's what's going on right now. You have parents going to school to cuss out the teacher behind the child. And when we were coming up, man, look, if the teacher lied on you, guess what? You were just screwed, because my parents was going to believe the teacher no matter what. So if the teacher lied on me, guess what? I was just screwed, you know. But now the teachers, I'm sorry, not the teachers, but the parents are believing children over grown adults who have no motive to lie, by the way, have no motive to lie, no reason to pick on your child. But that is what we're seeing right now in our society. So I do want to talk a little bit about that on tonight before we get into the presentation, because we got to get that under control, man. We have to do a better job at allowing our kids to be corrected by other adults, who mean well for them, right? If I tell Mario stop doing something I know he's not supposed to do, obviously I'm not trying to hurt Mario. I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to keep him out of trouble. But apparently there's a disconnect because parents don't get that. They think that if a teacher is telling their child something, whether it's minor or whether it's major, that teacher got it in for the child. The teacher don't like my child or this and that and the third. We got to do a better job with that. And I think we have to work to cooperate with our teachers and with the superiors at the school. Okay. Me and my wife, we do our best to cooperate with the teachers. So we let the teachers know, hey, look, if our kids are getting out of line, you're welcome to give us a call. We let them know that. We let them know that. We let the bus driver know, hey, look, if our kid is getting out of line, you can give us a call. And we're not going to say, well, don't tell my child nothing. I'm going to discipline my child. Man, look, how you going to discipline your child if you don't know? The teachers bring awareness to you so that you can know what your child is doing. Otherwise, you won't know. Now, I'm going to tell you what happens when you don't cooperate with the teachers. When you don't cooperate with the teachers, human nature set in. You know what human nature does? Human nature say, well, you know what? If the parent don't want to tell him nothing, the parent don't want to discipline him, well, I'm just going to suspend it. I'm not going to tell the parent nothing because last time I talked to the parent cussed me out. So you know what? Now, everything he do, I'm going to put him on paper. It's human nature. It's human nature. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all because I know if I try to keep you from getting suspended and I say, you know what, let me call your parents and the parents cuss me out, guess what? You're getting suspended. And that's where we are right now in our society, man. Parents believe the kid. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen a parent cuss a teacher out. And guess what? The kid was dead wrong. Dead wrong. And you know what the principal said? The principal said, you know what? That's all right. I'm going to just suspend him. And the kid got suspended. And that's a true story that I witnessed with my own eyes. Ain't nothing nobody told me. I witnessed with my own eyes. So we got to do better with that because that's the reason why we're losing our youth. Because they don't respect authority. They don't respect anybody. Okay. So let's watch this brief video and then we're going to talk about it on the other side. Okay. So give me a minute. I'm going to share my screen and then we can talk about this video here. Okay. Y'all just give me a thumbs up if y'all can see my screen here. All right, very good. All right, so here's a video here. We're going to talk about this. We're going to watch the video and then we're going to talk about it on the other side. Here we go.
Okay, teacher. So my student came to me talking about how she got in trouble because she got into it with another teacher and her mama coming up here to cuss the teacher out too. And I'm like, wait, what's happened? What happened? And essentially, the teacher told her to take her hoodie off, but her hair wasn't done. So she didn't want to take the hoodie off. And she didn't understand why this teacher was even saying anything to her because that's not her teacher. And the mom is backing that like, yeah, that's not her teacher. So why did you even say anything? And I'm just confused because I grew up at a time where I went to school in a time and I began teaching in a time where anybody in the building could say something to you. Everybody, any adult in the building, every adult in the building was responsible for you, could check you, correct you. It was a general understanding that we are part of the village and we are here to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do and getting what you're supposed to get so that you can, you know what I'm saying, be successful. At some point, we've lost that village mentality to so much so that we are into it. And I'm talking about us. We are into it with our cousins, with our moms, with our sisters and brothers because they said something to our child, because they tried to discipline or correct our child. But at what point do we understand it takes the village? And it's not, oh, the village just give us money and come to the birthday parties. No, the village means I'm helping get your child disciplined. I'm helping your child get on the right path. If you miss something, it's okay because I'm here to pick up the slack. If you're not even allowing that space for your family, the teachers for that ain't sure. Like, that makes our job so much harder, especially in our types of schools. I don't know if y'all went to a black school, a Title I school, but it's familial in here. It's familial. And so when you take that away from, you're coming up here to cuss out, like, we I promise you, we are all on the same team. Like, at some point, why did y'all think it's us versus y'all? Parents, tap in. Like, let me know at what point. We're trying to make sure your child is following the rules, doing what they're supposed to do, so that they can be successful here and beyond here. So, like, are y'all having this problem too? Are y'all? Let me know if it's just like, what's tea? Let's talk.
All right. All right, you heard it. You heard it. So she's a teacher currently, and she's saying that at one time, teachers were viewed as a part of the village, but that's not the case anymore. Do anybody agree with what she's saying? Or is she way in left field somewhere? Do anybody agree?
I absolutely agree. I'm an 80s baby. I'll tell you how old I am. I'm just an 80s baby. But back then in the 80s, anybody could correct you. If your next door neighbor seen you do something wrong, your next door neighbor was probably gonna punish you or slap you. And then when they did tell your parents was gonna punish you and slap you too. So I think the partnership between parents and teachers, it's definitely suffering because parents more want to be their children's friend, and any type of authority figure, like, the children rebel against it because they're not used to it. Like, well, my mom is my friend. Why would I be listening to you? Like, you're not going to come down harder on me than my mama is. So then that turns into a tag team between the parent and the child, tagging against the teacher. I feel like teachers are overworked and underpaid, and the things that they experience, it's absolutely not worth it. Which is the only reason why I agreed to do PTO, is because I wanted to try to help alleviate some of that. But until parents start taking, like, more responsibility and allowing other people to build that village, we're going to continue to have a problem with our youth. There's no accountability.
Great. Yeah, we certainly have to do better because I think that those actions that's going on in the school is playing out in the streets, and that's the reason why these kids are losing their lives, and because it's all connected, it's all connected. These kids are acting up at school, and then they see their mom or their dad come and back them up. Well, all it does is make them more emboldened. Right? Because now I know that, man, I can act a clown, and then my mom and my daddy gonna support me with that, with being a clown. So now you're a part of the circus. And what it does is it calls you to develop a mindset of, man, I can do what I want. And you can't do what you want. Neither one of us can just do what we want. There are rules that needs to be followed. There are things that we need to abide by. And it just is what it is. Nobody can just run around and be a renegade and just do what they want. But we have to learn these lessons so that our kids can stop losing their lives. Because unfortunately, right now, our youth are losing their lives. And it's very, very hurtful because you see 3 going to jail, 1 going to the grave, or 4 going to jail, and 2 going to the grave. And sadly, it's a lot of black youth, black young boys. So we talk a lot about behavior on these calls for that very, very reason, because we don't want our kids to fall victim to some of the things that we're seeing and hearing on social media, So we educate them because we believe that educating kids and making them aware of the consequences of their actions, that would help them to stay in line, right? Because I shared on the call a while back that adults, before they do anything, we think about the consequences of it. Okay. You know, before Mario decides to sock me in the eye, he's gonna think about, man, if I hit him in the eye, I'm gonna get a charge. If I get a charge, I can lose my good paying job. I lose my good paying job, I cannot be able to afford to pay my bills. Can't afford to pay my bills, that can cause problems in my family. That's a lot to think about. Well, see the example that I just gave about an adult? Kids don't think about that. See, kids are opposite from adults. Kids do things and then think about the consequence. See, they're just the opposite. And that's the reason why they can kill you on the spot, because they're not thinking about consequence. But after they do it, you see them in the interrogation room crying and want their mom. Well, why is that? Because now they're thinking about the consequence. See, everything that they just done is now coming down on them. The weight of that decision is now coming down on them. And now they realize that, man, I done messed up. Yeah, you done messed up. But guess what? Now it's too late. And that's the reason why we try to educate our kids so that they are aware, right? They are educated so that they can think about the consequences before their actions, just like the scenario that I gave with Mario, right? And it's the same thing with myself and the rest of the adults on the call. Man, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times before I do something crazy, because I know that the repercussions of it, it can be harmful to me. You know, it can cause me more harm than good. And I can't do that. I live my life in the light, with being a founder of an organization. Excuse me. I can't be around here acting crazy. People are looking up to me. I'm a leader. And I want to be a good leader. That is my desire. My desire is to be a good leader, to lead people along the right path, right? I pray and ask God every day for wisdom to lead his people. God, give me wisdom to help your people. I can't be around here acting crazy. I can't be around here just posting all kind of stuff on social media and all that type of stuff, man. I can't do that, and I would encourage you guys not to do that either, because it does affect your character and what people think about you. It does affect your perception and what people think about you. So we have to be mindful of those things. Okay. Any questions, any comments before we move on to the presentation? You having a good time so far? You having a good time? Everybody good? All right, well, let's get into the presentation. Guys need to hear the presentation. It's been a while. We'll get the presentation started. Give me 1 second here. Let me share my screen in a moment. Share my screen. All right, you guys should see my screen right now. All right, Mario gave me a thumbs up. Okay, good. All right. So the name of our organization is Impact 365. I'll give you just a little bit on how we came up with the name. The reason we came up with the name Impact 365 is because it's our plan to impact someone's life every day of the year. We want to have an impact on someone's life 365 days out of the year. Okay, so that's how we came up with the name. It may not necessarily be me. It may be my wife. It may be Mario. It may be the new young lady who's on the call tonight. It may be Mr. Gregory. It may be my son. It may be my daughter. It may be Coach Alex. It doesn't matter. If you are part of this organization, it's our hope to touch somebody's life every day of the year because right now we're in a situation in our society where we can't take any days off. You know, every day somebody is dying, some child is dying, some mother is crying because she done lost her child. You know, some father has lost his son. So we have to be real intentional about making sure that we are doing the right thing, that we are leading people along the right path, that we ourselves are staying out of trouble, that we're being leaders in this world that we live, even while at school for the kids. And a lot of times kids get derailed when they go to school. Well, we are raising up leaders on these calls. Okay, so those who are part of Impact 365, they are well educated and well versed, and we expect them to excel above their peers. And we're going to talk more about that as we continue the presentation. Okay. All right. Impact 365 was founded May 6th of 2025. So we haven't even made a year yet, but man, we've made enormous amount of headway just in a short period of time. Okay. We've already had, I don't know, maybe 50 trainings and lessons since we started the organization. We've taken our kids fishing. We've taken our kids bowling. We've taken our kids to the Whitney plantation. We just done that, I think, 2 weeks ago. And we have many, many more plans and trainings and lessons for our kids as we continue growing this organization. We're not stopping, we're going faster. Okay, we're growing and growing. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys to let you know that we are an organization that is moving. You know, we're not stale. We always got something that we're doing for the kids, you know, because you see online all the time, people say, oh, it's nothing for the kids, nothing for the kids. Oh, yeah, it's plenty to do for the kids. You know, now, if you just think something for the kids mean basketball and football, well, that's the reason you feel that way. But kids also need to stimulate their mind, right? It's not just about athletics. How do your kid think, right? Because if you're not thinking the right way, football and basketball ain't gonna matter anyway. Because eventually you're going in the wrong direction, so you're gonna wind up in jail anyway. So what he needs more than anything is to have his mind stimulated. Well, we're right here, we stimulate your mind, we educate you, right? So that you can be better in sports, right? People try to put sports before behavior. No, behavior go before sports. That's the way this goes. Okay. So we were founded May 6, 2005. We had a lot of success in a short period of time. We are classified as a public charity organization, and we are a 501c3 approved nonprofit organization. Okay. This is our mission here. Our mission is to build hope, courage, and confidence in the lives of our youth. Now, how are we going to do that? How are we going to build hope, courage, and confidence in the lives of our youth? Well, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it through training. We're going to do it through education. And we're going to do it through experience to help them navigate life challenges. You know, the reason we have the conversation that we have on these calls is to help our kids to navigate life challenges. You know, life presents a lot of challenges, and sadly, a lot of people cannot deal with or cope with those challenges. You know, peer pressure is one example. A lot of kids can't cope with peer pressure. You know, I know Coach Mr. Gregory can attest to this right now. We're seeing kids taking their life like never before because of peer pressure, because of bullying and all these different type of things that's going online. Well, we educate our kids about those different things. Well, guess what? Those are life challenges. So we train our kids on that, just like the lesson we just had with the teacher talking about the disrespect, you know, that goes on in the school. You know, the lack of respect for authority that goes on in the school. We just had that lesson. It was a brief lesson, but these are lessons that help these kids to get better. It helped them to develop their behavior, right? Help them to grow. And that's what we're here for. Okay. So if your kid is a part of these calls, it is a high likelihood that they're going to be successful in life, because it's very, very difficult to hear this type of information over and over and over and over again, because we have these calls every week. Hear these calls every week. and keep going the wrong direction. No. When you make a kid aware, when you expose a kid to the things that's going on in the real world, it helps them to make informed decisions. See, a lot of these kids are losing their weight because nobody's informing them. So they don't know. And people perish for lack of knowledge, right? That's what the words say. So we're educating so that you are knowledgeable, so that you can make an informed decision in the real world. Okay. So here's our plan. Our plan is to host weekly meetings to keep everyone engaged. All right. We want to stay engaged. That's what this call is about. This is a weekly meeting, right? Host bi-weekly trainings. Trainings are a little bit more in depth, where we talk about a variety of topics to help our kids to grow and become educated on a variety of topics. We've talked about peer pressure. We've talked about de-escalation. We've talked about gun violence. We've talked about personal hygiene. We've talked about, a list of stuff. I can't even think of all the things we talked. We talked about leadership. And we're going to continue to have these type of trainings and conversations so that our kids can continue to be educated. Pretty soon, we're going to be talking about table etiquette and dress etiquette. That's coming soon. Our kids need to know how to handle themselves when they're at a dinner table and how to dress for the occasion, right? A lot of kids don't know that. Some people don't know that there is etiquette at a dinner table, right? Well, we're going to educate you on that. Okay, so we're going to have that conversation coming real soon. Okay. And the last bullet point under our plan is to host outside activities at least once a month. For those of you who don't know, we just left the Whitney Plantation 2 weeks ago. We had a wonderful experience, a wonderful time with our kids. Our kids got educated and they didn't want to leave. That's how good it was. They didn't want to leave. And guess what? The adults didn't want to leave either. I know I didn't want to leave, man. I loved everything about it. I had a great time there. If you guys want to know more about that experience and also the past experiences that we've had with our youth, we're going to talk more about it later, but we do have social media pages and we do have a website as well for our organization. We'll talk about that later on. Okay. This is our expectation for those who are part of Impact 365 calls week after week. This is our expectation here, that our youth will be more hopeful about their future. Okay, that's very, very important because you have a lot of kids who don't have a very high hope about their future. Some kids will tell you, man, I don't know if I'm gonna live to see 21. I don't know if I'm gonna live to see 25. Well, that's not good. That's not good. But that is a result of those kids not being very hopeful about their future. Well, as you continue to be on these calls and be a part of these conversations, you're going to be more and more hopeful about your future. That is our expectation. Our youth are going to have the courage to try new things. Okay, that's important. That your kid develop courage, that they don't shy away from everything, right? But that they be more courageous. Well, they're going to become more courageous being on these calls and being educated and informed. Okay. Our youth will be more confident in who they are. Well, we all know that confidence is a good thing. When a kid is confident about who they are, everything changes about them. Their posture, their demeanor, their eye contact, all of that changes when a kid has more confidence in who they are, right? So you're going to become more confident being on these calls. And lastly, our youth will be distinguished and the best of the best among their peers. Now, why do we say this? We say this because if you're on these calls week after week, you are getting something that a lot of people aren't getting. So now the question becomes, if you are more educated, if you're more informed, why aren't you excelling above your peers? You should be, right? Because you have more information. You have more than most. So if you have more information than most, then you should be excelling above your peers. And that is our expectation. So if you're consistently on these calls week after week, that is our expectation. Okay. Here's the overall goal of the organization. Okay, the overall goal of the organization is to be a central hub for kids to engage with others in a safe environment that will motivate, inspire, and drive them towards success. Okay, we want this to be a central hub. Where our kids engage with one another. Why is that important? That's important because good kids need to be around good kids. See, the problem is that we have good kids and we raise them a certain way with a certain type of behavior and mannerism, but then they go to school around other kids who aren't raised the same way, and then they start falling off the rails, right? Well, we want our kids to have an environment to where they're motivated to press forward, not go backwards, but motivated to go forward, because the environment is contagious. The environment is everybody's doing well, everybody's productive, everybody wants something out of life, and everybody's moving forward. Well, that's contagious, and that is very, very, very good for your kid to be around. Very good. It's very good for adults to be around, right? It's motivating, it's exciting, it's inspiring, right? That's what we want. We want to leverage the power and influence of the organization to impact and change our communities. Ultimately, we want to change our community. We want St. John the Baptist Parish to be the best parish in the world. Notice I didn't say Louisiana, the world. Okay, we want Louisiana to be the best in the world. We don't have a small view of what we're doing here. We have a broad view, a big view of what we're doing. We're not going to just be local to Louisiana. We're going to be in other states as well. As we continue to grow and people start learning more and more about what we're doing, we're going to grow and people are going to want to be a part of this. If Red Cross can do it, we can do it, because we're just as good and we're just as important as a Red Cross. Changing people's lives and educating the youth who is our future, that is something that need to happen worldwide, because the youth aren't just losing their life here in Louisiana, they're losing their life all across the globe. So as we continue to grow and get the message out and people start learning about what we're doing, and we're having such an impact in what we're doing, and people start getting word, guess what? They're going to want to be a part of what we're doing. So we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to change lives. We're going to continue to change our community and ultimately our world. And that is our goal. Okay, but we got to start somewhere. We haven't even been a year in yet. We're approaching a year. We haven't made a year yet, and we're blowing up. And we're going to continue to blow up, and we're going to continue to do well because we have a good foundation. Okay, we're starting off on the right foot. We're doing the right things. We have the right people, and our heart is in the right place. Right? We sincerely want to see people's lives change. We sincerely want to help people. It's not a fake. It's not fake. It's not a facade. It's real. That's what we really want. That's what we sincerely want. Okay. Set new goals and expectations year after year to ensure we're staying current with the needs of our community. That's important. And provide fresh ideas and resources to meet those needs. We want to meet the needs of the people in our community, right? We want to help them so that they can do better, so that we can all grow together. That is our desire. That is our hope. Okay, so we do want to help the people in our community. Last but not least, we want to fundraise to support the mission of the organization. We do need money in order to keep things going, to do the things that we have done with our youth, bowling, fishing, all those different type of things. It costs. So obviously, fundraising is very, very helpful to us. We just done a fundraiser for Jazz Fest. We did a raffle for fundraiser for Jazz Fest. It went very, very, very well. Everybody sold out of their tickets. We've done well. And that's a good thing, because that money that came in is going to help us support the mission of the organization. So everyone that supported by buying a ticket or selling tickets, we certainly appreciate it, because that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And everybody got on board, and everybody said, you know what, I can do this. And guess what? Everybody did it. And it makes us so proud, that we all chipped in and got it done. Thank you guys so much for that. All right, this is what I want you guys to consider, especially those who are on the call. I want you guys to consider this right here, okay? I want you to think about yourself in this moment. Don't think about anyone else but yourself. I want you to be selfish in this moment when you think about these questions I'm getting ready to ask, okay? So here are the questions. Do you enjoy being in community with other like-minded people? Okay, that is a question for you to think about. Okay. Here's the next question. Can you see your family benefiting from an organization like this? Okay. Can you see your family benefiting after everything that you've heard already? Can you see you and your family, you or your family benefiting from an organization like this? Thirdly, can you see yourself being in a leadership or a supportive role within this organization? Okay. You know, the young lady who spoke up earlier, you know, she had a lot of value to the organization, to the conversation, just by the things that she said. Well, that's an example of a supportive role. You know, you're supporting what we're doing through, you know, your experience, you know, interviewing and helping educate us on the process that y'all go through, looking on people's social media, all that's support, right? So can you see yourself being in a leadership or supportive role within an organization? And lastly, can you see yourself sharing your passions, gifts, talents, or experience with the people within the organization? Okay. And here's why I asked those questions. Here's why. I'm gonna pull the curtain back. Because if you answered yes to any of the above, to any of the questions above, this organization is for you. Now is your time. You answer yes to any question, no matter which one, this organization is for you, so you can come here and find your place. You know, you don't have to go searching and trying to do things on your own and trying to see where you fit over here and over there. No, you can come work your magic right here. Let us work together to achieve the goals and expectations that we have for the organization. You know, we need you, and we can work together to save our youth, because that's what this is all about, saving our youth. And we have to start somewhere, and we can use you. Okay. Here are some ways you can support the organization. You can support by participating in our weekly calls. This is a weekly call. You can volunteer during our events. We have events, right? Once a month, you can volunteer. You know, a lot of time these kids, they need someone to watch them and be a little chaperone for a while, for a short period of time, or to show them where this is or that is. Well, we can use your help with that, with volunteering. Okay. For the fishing trip, that's a perfect example. For the fishing trip, those kids needed help. They needed somebody to put the bait on the line. They needed help throwing the line out and all that type of stuff, bringing the crabs in, the fish in. They needed help with that. Well, volunteers assisted with that. Okay. Share with others the work that we're doing. You know, I would love for you to share with others the work that we're doing, because a lot of people don't know about Impact 365, but they need to know about Impact 365 because the work that we're doing is very, very important. And we're very, very intentional about the work that we're doing. So the more you share, the more helpful it is to us in getting the word out. And lastly, you can donate to help us continue supporting the mission of the organization. Okay. The last way you can help is support by donating. Your donation goes directly to supporting the mission of the organization so that we can continue the work that we talked about earlier in the presentation. Okay. This is our QR code here. If you want to make a donation today, you can scan the QR code and it'll bring you to our site, our PayPal site, where you can make a donation of any amount. Any amount is appreciated here. And we thank you so much for being here and listening to the presentation and making a donation should you decide to make a donation on the day. Okay. Any questions? Any comments? I would love to hear from anybody. So the young lady who is new to the call, I would love to hear from you specifically because you're new to the call. I would love to know what you thought about the presentation that you heard on tonight. I would love to hear your feedback if you don't mind coming off mute and sharing.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important that we give these kids, because I do hear that comment a lot. That's some of the things that I've discussed with President Hotard. when you look at the things that the children are getting into, the problems that they're having. And I tell her that these children are bored. There's no bowling alley, there's no skating rink, there's no arcade, there's no movie theaters. When I was growing up, you could go play it across the street with the next person, but children aren't doing it. So it's like if they don't have the means to have like a PS5 or whatever that is, like they don't have anything to do. So then they're outside roaming up and down the streets, pulling on car doors. But to a certain extent, like the community has to take some type of ownership for that, because what do you expect them to do? Like Friday afternoon, they get out of school, they don't go back until Monday. What are they going to do between Friday and Monday? Like I said, there's nothing going on in Laplace that's advertised enough. Like I said, from the political side, like I don't feel like they're pouring enough into our youth, but then they're quick to condemn them. But when they needed things to do or things to get them involved, there is nothing. So definitely, I'm super interested in how much I could help with this organization. I'd be delighted to assist in any way that I can, because I think this is what like our community is lacking. And like you said, it's not just St. John Parish, like it's a like all over issue. So when they idle mind is a devil workshop, my grandmother used to say that, and like they're idle. So yeah, they're gonna get into things they're not supposed to, because the things that they would like to get into, they don't have the means to do so, or those things are not available. So if we can do things to make it available to them, I would love to support in any way that I can.
Yeah, well, I certainly appreciate you being on the call tonight. How did you learn about the call, if you don't mind?
So Mr. Porter, Mario Porter, I'm on the St. John Parish PCA with him. He's the vice president. I'm the treasurer. And then I just looked at my group me, Anitra. I know Anitra.
Anitra's my wife.
Yay! It's a small world.
Yeah.
Yay! Hi. I'm waving, y'all can't see me, but yeah. So that's how he sent us the link, because like I said, we had a PTA meeting yesterday, and a lot of things that we discussed were similar to this, like how we can give back, what we can do for the kids, or how we can get them involved. Community involvement is like really big. Parental involvement is not. So it's like you 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, because you can offer stuff for the children to do, but then the parents won't come or the parents won't bring them. So then it turns into a transportation issue. So one of the things that I did with my nonprofit is, in addition to teaching you how to fill out applications and resumes and telling you, how to dress, you mentioned that, like the etiquette part of it, you can't come to an interview in a crop top and flip-flops. It's cute, but it's not appropriate. But again, they don't know what they don't know. And if that's their best outfit, well, then they're wearing their best outfit to the interview. But that's not what it's set up for. So in addition to teaching those types of things, like we also provide like a Lyft or an Uber for them to have a way to get to work or to get to the interview. So it's just a matter of having the buy-in from the parents is really important. So when Mario mentioned like, hey, if anybody's available, we're having this call later on today. So if y'all can jump on, go ahead and do it. So I was like, I'm available. I have time. I'm going to go ahead and jump on. So he invited me. I'm glad he did. I'm happy, like I said, to support in whatever way I can.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So are you a part of the group me, or did you request to be a part of the group me? Do you want to be a part of the group me to get all of the communications, or it's totally up to you?
I don't know. We have to. Anitra she just sent me something, and I don't know, me and her probably in something else together. I don't know. I have to look for it. This is probably from the me and her are on the PCO together. So she does all of it's connected now. I've definitely seen you before. So this is the PTO one that her and I are on, but I'll definitely search the or if she can drop the link, then I can she just dropped the link. Oh, I love a forward thinker. I just hit join group just now. The only thing about me, or my downside, should I say, I commute. So I live in Laplace, but I work in Baton Rouge. I'm one of the store managers for the Baton Rouge Whole Foods. So it's an hour commute there and back, and then we work like a 9 hour day. So give or take, it's about 12 hours. Anything I do or anything that I could help or contribute to, I need like a 30-day-ish notice. Just because it's retail and it's fluctuating. So like anything Mother's Day week, I wouldn't be able to do that. The following week, I would. So it's like when it's retail big holidays, then I'm not so much as available to be present. I could still donate, I could still contribute, I could help beforehand, but holidays are kind of where it's iffy, depending on the holiday. But the big ones for sure, it's harder to be available and assist with things. But if it's a 30-day notice that we have that's available, I could definitely help with things. Then Anitra could tell you I'm always at the school. I'm always at somebody's school. And I definitely try to like give back. I don't know if y'all maybe like a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a family from Emily C. Watkins and they lost their house. They lost everything, the car, the cat, the school supply, like they lost absolutely everything, but they made it out with their life. So, I'm thankful to God for that, because like you could replace the material. So when we found that out, I started reaching out to them to see what they needed. So they, of course, they needed everything, but I didn't want to get donations for them and didn't have nowhere to get it and put it at. I contacted a storage unit. I'm like, hey, this family has lost everything. Could you give us a storage unit for them once we start collecting donations? Absolutely. So, I mean, the worst they could say no, and nothing beats a fail but a try. So, like, once they say, yep, we'll do it, I'm like, okay, now here's the list of the stuff that we're going to start connecting and, we're going to go from there. So I try to do, and I've never met them people a day in my life. I still haven't met them. I talked to them, but I still haven't met them. But like I say, anything that I can do to help anybody in any capacity, I'm definitely going to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that and being on the call, because that's I can tell that you have a heart for the people, and that's what we need. We need
Yeah.
people to care. Because there's not enough people out here who cares. But we care, and I can tell you care. And even Mr. Greg, who's on the call, he has a nonprofit as well, I believe, and he go around teaching the youth and educating the youth as well. So we all pulling in the same direction on this call, and that's a good thing, because these kids, they really need it. And
Yeah.
as I stated before, the kids are our future. And I know this might sound extreme, but if we don't get a handle on these kids right now, we won't be able to go to the grocery store without dodging bullets.
That's
because,
it.
because these young kids, they don't mind, boy. They don't mind letting it off, and they don't care who around. So we have to get it under control and get it under control quick. And we need to be very intentional about touching our youth, because if not, it's not going to serve us well. It's not going to serve us well. So we definitely have to make sure that we stay engaged, for sure. And that's the reason why you're doing the work you're doing. That's the reason why Greg doing the work he's doing, Mario, my wife, so on and so forth, because we understand. We understand that we can't keep allowing things to go the way that they're going and have a bright future. We're not going to have a bright future if we don't do something, And we're going to start here where we are, and we're going to branch out. We're going to grow. We're going to branch out. We're going to more and more people are going to hear about the work that we're doing. They're going to support the work we're doing. They're going to be here and support us, and that's what we need. So thank you once again for being on the call. All right, as always, before we end the call, we end with a prayer. But before we end with a prayer, do anybody have any questions or any comments before we close out? Anybody have anything we want to share or talk about before we close out? No? All right. Avery, can you close us out tonight, baby? Can you pray for us tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Thanks. Father God, thank you for today. Thank you for giving everybody peace. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for giving us salvation and the confidence to do what we do this morning. Lord God, can you help us do the right thing and teach us how to be a leader, and in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
All right,
Amen.
y'all. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Right.
All right. Thank y'all again for having me.